I was born in 1935, and for some years I have no recollection of this. I just know this is what was told to me as I grew up. That there were the days when, if Grandad was ill, or if my aunt or my uncle, or indeed even possibly myself, had been ill as a baby, then there was always the discussion of, can we afford a doctor? And my grandmother seemed to have all sorts of cures for things which I believed in, and it was a bit of folklore really. But when the NHS was founded in the 50s, it was just extraordinary because it was a feeling you'd never had, people had never had. They didn't have to ask the question, can we afford the doctor? What is a worry for me now, makes me angry now, is that is a possible question that's going to start being raised and asked by the poorest, certainly, and maybe the not so poor in our country. If the NHS finally dissolves, some would say evolves, so I think dissolves, into a American-style system where you have to ask the question, well, can we afford that? Can we afford to go to the doctor? Can we afford to go on to a consultant or whatever we need? Now, we're getting older, and those sorts of issues, certainly for me, would be quite important. I dread the day when the question you have to ask in your family is, can we afford the doctor? And that's a real question and a real problem for a lot of people if the NHS were to disappear. The threat to the NHS we can accept that some of it began in a Labour administration, the introduction of foundation hospitals and so on. But I think all that's improved to be simply the groundwork for the Tory administration to start stripping the public assets, of which the NHS is one, and handing them over to the private sector, just giving public money into private hands, which I find utterly unacceptable. However simplistic that might be, that's the level that, on the whole, I think people think about these things. It matters to them. The NHS matters. It's part of our life. It's part of what being English, British, Welsh, whatever, Scottish is, and we have to safeguard it. We have to circle the wagons or something against this privatisation. And also the marketing, the marketisation. God, I hate these words. The fact that there's a market system operating within the NHS. I think that's all wrong myself. But all these are questions and these are issues that I think are important. And that's why I think a lot of people have marched today to Clegg's office. A lot of people in this constituency are hoping that Mr. Clegg will be irrelevant come May the 8th. But we'll see. It would be a major upset if that were to be the case, an upset for the Lib Dems, and indeed it will be a statement about coalition. It would be a statement about our willingness to defend the system. As Tony Benn used to say, if you meet a person with any power, you ask them these questions. Where does your power come from? And whose interests do you exercise it? And on whose behalf are you operating? Are you using your power? And how do we get rid of you? And we're at the point where we're asking, maybe we can get rid of you, Mr. Clegg. And thank you very much. Your services will no longer be required.